What's going on? Welcome to Asian Cosell. So I have one by Man Reacts. So, yep, he's talking about these facts. Women affected because of what? That Me Too movement. So let's get right into this video.
Thank you, sir.
Right when I walked into the room, he began making sexually suggestive comments to me. Now, as an entertainment reporter for over a decade, it was unlike anything I truly have ever experienced.
I fear false accusations.
I am a big proponent of equality with women. I don't want to be because I'm on the anti-Me Too.
Hi guys. Let's discuss the changing dynamics between men and women in the workplace and how it is increasingly becoming common for men to avoid women in the office. We're also going to discuss why women are now seeing this as a punishment for the Me Too movement. And just a disclaimer, this is in no way intended to malign or deny the many people who have had to face issues at the workplace, which eventually led to the beginning of the Me Too movement in the West. So, I'm going to go over an article that shares how more and more men are avoiding women in the workplace. And this has started to make women uncomfortable. She shares how she believes men are overreacting to the whole Me Too movement and that they're going overboard by trying to avoid women. She says that women feel like they're being punished by men because of the Me Too movement. The article starts off with the author talking about a new American study that reveals how men appear to be following major career politicians and personalities, such as Mike Pence when he was still the vice president. It says that Mike Pence was known to not have dinner alone with any woman who wasn't his partner. It says that Mike Pence was quite the trendsetter when he was still in office. And right now, it seems like working guys all over corporate America are following him, inspired by his foolproof and cautious way of being around women in the workplace. According to another study undertaken to assess the results and implications of the Me Too movement, more and more men are significantly less likely to approach their female coworkers at the workplace. The study found that 20% of men shun one-on-one conversations with female coworkers and avoid interacting with them in closed settings.
Yep, I don't blame the guys these days because, yeah, one-on-one, you're just like, nope. And of course, for me, it's hard, but luckily I only work at, the academy once a week. I'm the only guy unless, the owner shows up. So most of the times, yeah, if I have nothing to say, I just do my job, do my, classes and roll in, roll out. Take care, kids. Bye, unless I have to talk to that one, female employee because, well, she's kind of like oversees, what's going on. So, and it is what it is. Yeah, I might have to talk to her and say, hey, give me some new books and the kids need this and blah, blah, blah. But that's it. Majority of times I don't hang out with a lot of the employees as much. So I just like go to work, clock in, clock out, and peace out.
According to the primary research undertaken for this study, where men were asked how they would feel if they were alone with a woman in the office, a third or more of men said they would be afraid to be alone with a woman. Imagine that. I can't blame these men, to be honest. In today's world, you are guilty unless proven innocent. This is what scares men the most. God forbid, if a woman makes even a false claim against a man for harassment at the workplace, that man will lose his job and prospective future jobs in addition to his reputation and self-esteem. That's the incredible power that women hold over men in the workplace. So it comes as no surprise that according to this article, 21% of males indicated they would be hesitant to hire a woman for a position that requires intimate connection, such as traveling for business. 19% of the men said they'd be hesitant to hire a woman who was considered beautiful by society's standards of attraction. This was the result of a survey taken from employees working in a variety of businesses. The survey also noted that similar surveys taken in the past did not garner similar results. In the previous surveys, men were more comfortable interacting with women in office settings. Previously, 15% of men compared to 21% in the later surveys indicated it would be less likely to recruit women for positions that demand close interpersonal interactions. So this just goes to show that over the years, and especially in the last decade, men have become more and more cautious around women and would rather interact and work with men. They would rather share information, discuss ideas, and plan their agendas in cubicles, meetings, and boardrooms with other men rather than women. This is because they're afraid they might lose the career they built over years and years of hard work. One false accusation, and they could lose all of it. One false accusation could turn them into villains in a society that only considers and believes what women say. So, don't blame men, I mean. Men can see what has happened over the years, especially with the advent of the Me2 movement. They don't want to bear responsibility for something they did not commit. They don't want to lose their jobs, status, and position in society. Just to be clear, men not saying that they are the only ones that are terrified of women here. Women also seem to be hiring fewer women in general. More than 10% of men and women who responded to the earlier survey expected to be less likely than before to recruit attractive women according to the results. I think this is because, generally speaking, people tend to believe in attractive people more than someone who is not good looking. We have popular culture to thank for that. In any movie you see, old and new, you will always find that the most beautiful woman or the most handsome man is the hero, who cannot do any wrong and who fights to uphold justice in society. The villains and the bad guys are always people who are ugly-looking, scared, and old people who are pleasant to look at. So it's no surprise that men and even women wouldn't want to consider hiring attractive women, because if an attractive woman makes a false allegation against a man, everyone will believe that the woman is saying the truth. I mean, everyone can imagine a guy trying to flirt with an incredibly attractive woman because that's how it has always been. Guys find it extremely challenging to deal with a harassment issue. Some people
Yep, and yeah, I've noticed that. Of course, even at my workplace, I think yeah, I'm like majority of the women I work with, since I'm in South Korea. Uh, yeah, I think at least 80% are attracted, but it's one of those rules. Don't ask where you work, don't ask where you sleep, don't ask, wherever. So yeah, and then the only time if I do get together is when the boss calls like a dinner thing, and if I'm free, I'll go. But at least it's in a group setting, and then making sure that there's that other male there. So I, I'm just like very just protective, just in case. Because in my industry, and in the ESL industry, it's majority of the sexes are women, not males. So so I'm just like just minding my business, just eating, and then I'll interact, and I'll be like, yeah, it's cool, and just keep my just to make sure it's safe. I'm just like, yep. Because, man, you don't, even in Korea, you don't want to deal with HR issues or, all this stuff.
may be accused of harassment for merely making jokes with a coworker. Even in this case, two male coworkers could honestly be joking between themselves without directing the joke at anyone, and they can be called out as harassers for it. And the next thing you know, HR is after them asking questions about everything. Men are hesitant to even shake hands with women for fear that she would perceive it as harassment. It would be simpler to avoid touch altogether. But what's really intriguing about this study is how thoroughly it refutes the claim that men lack a clear understanding of what constitutes improper behavior. The first thing that researchers did was look at 19 behaviors and make a judgment about whether to label them as harassment or not. An example of this would be sending explicit emails to subordinates. The majority of men and women, respectively, are aware of what harassment is, and both genders essentially agree on what harassment implies. One of the authors of the study told the Harvard Business Review that it is mostly inaccurate to suggest that men don't realize their behavior is inappropriate, and that women are making a mountain out of a molehill. Women define harassment more broadly. The majority of guys are fully aware of the distinction between a warm hug and a perverted hug. They are fully aware of what is and isn't considered harassment. From a woman's point of view, anything can be harassment. If the line manager asks a subordinate or junior team member to stay late at the office for an hour, she can create a whole scene where she's seen with the manager in the CCTV cameras as he speaks to her and explains to her how to go about a certain project. And she can basically concoct a story of how he was trying to harass her. And guess what? Most people would believe her. So it's quite understandable that men want to avoid situations where they are alone with women in order to remain clear of any such issues that might jeopardize their entire careers. And women have started to complain about this because they feel like they're being left out. They're no longer given the responsibility to work more on projects and see them through in the dead of night in the office. People would rather ask men to stay late and work with them because they know their careers won't be at stake. Women are also being left out of private and confidential conversations between team members who share important information. I mean, if I had to share something with a coworker out of hearing range from someone else, and I had to go to a small meeting room with someone, I'd rather choose to share that information with a guy because I know that taking a woman into a small meeting room might seem like something else to other people. The effects of Me2 are still being felt across the corporate world, not just in America, but also in Europe, Great Britain, and other parts of the world. Men will continue to avoid women in the workplace as long as women overreact to the movement and continue to make false allegations against men that we see so.
Yep, and even here in Asia too, I've always hear like common, like, sometimes harassment, at the big, Chabos, the big Samsung, LG, and all those companies. And I'm just like, okay. And then sometimes you want to know, is the chick telling the truth? Because, we have this thing called believe all women. So the guy, you're guilty till proven innocent. So, yeah. You're just like, oh. And these days, the juice is not worth the squeeze to try to hook up with someone at the, where you S where you sleep, S where you work,
Often in the media. So that's what I have to say about this. Thanks for watching. Please like the video and subscribe to the channel.
Yep. Shout out to Man Reacts. And yeah, I do like doing some of his, reaction to his videos. So, yeah. So, yep. And if any of you enjoyed any of my content, please give me the HKO special help the king out. Hit the like, subscribe, and comment. And wherever you are, stay safe. And I'll see you in my next video.